The Isuzu Ute A-League Men's is at Campbelltown to finish the weekend with Macarthur hosting Melbourne City. City trying to break 6 points clear with a game in hand at the top of the league. Macarthur not out of the conversation for the top six, but if there is an opponent that they're unlikely to snaffle a few bonus points against, it's almost certainly Melbourne City, a team they've never beaten. As we look there at the Isuzu Ute Tunnel Cam, the Sony Foundation supporting homeless youth in need is the kit sponsor and inspiring the colour change for Macarthur today, and Melbourne City channeling that history of Melbourne heart with the red and white stripes, their away kit for this afternoon. Let's start with Macarthur's lineup though. One change to the 11 with Jerry Skatatis coming in for the suspended Daniel Arzani. A little bit of shuffling on the bench with Rose and Drew added to the substitutes. No Jesper Weber this week for Mile Stajovski's team. Let's take a look at that City lineup now. Nuno Reyes into the starting 11 for the suspended Thomas Lamb. And again, shuffles on the bench. No Florent Berenguer this week. Kieran Stokes looking for his first A-League appearance in a year. And three potential debutants in Esposito, Pios and Hogan. If Melbourne City run up the score, could it be a special moment for any of those three teenagers? Rado Vidizic, the grandfatherly figure on the sideline, will make that decision. Jamie McLaren is going to get this one underway as Melbourne City attack the left of your screens at Campbelltown in the first half. The chance to break 6 points clear with a game in hand at the top of the Isuzu Ute A-League Men's. And this Melbourne City juggernaut, at times Andy Harper, they've been challenged through the season, but they would come here today fully expecting to bank 3 more points.
Good evening, Teo. Yeah, it's a big game for Macarthur. They've got to stop the hemorrhaging of goals. Just a woeful defensive record, particularly in recent times, against a team that's been banging them away for fun over the course of the season. Of course, just in reflection of Melbourne City's position at the top of the comp, they will be looking in their rear-view mirror at the emergence of Adelaide and the Western Sydney Wanderers, who have thrown down a couple of markers in the last couple of weeks.
See the form lines there for the two teams. Well, certainly the case Wanderers would have been so frustrated at being beaten in Perth last Friday week, because their derby performance showed that the gap may not be that big between them and the very top of the competition, but points-wise, that loss to Perth really put a dent in any hope they had of at least pressuring Melbourne City in the race for the Premier's place.
You'd imagine so, but Melbourne City, of course, are the team that everyone is chasing for very good reason. They've got a lot of talent missing, high-quality, big-name talent missing, and that comes back into frame off the injury and physio table. I'm sure be causing a lot of nervousness around the league for Macarthur, the home team, supporting the Sony Foundation in their pink strips, which is fantastic. We had the Brisbane Roar showing their support for epilepsy last night, playing in purple. So great from both clubs in the A-League, and Macarthur need the 3 points, pure and simple.
Naboot. And now Talbot. Tilio. Melbourne City want to work a little bit closer to goal, and that pass from Jamison is going to allow Talbot to advance. Still Talbot. He's got dreams of a miracle goal, and then he defers to McLaren. It's blocked off the line. Keeper out of the equation. But ultimately, it was Thomas Labuskov who was in the road. And now the second time ball in is headed away by Miller. But Jamie McLaren nearly opened the score.
Excellent run from Talbot. Holman just backed off there. Might have been a little bit more aggressive. Then beautiful feet twice to make the angle for the cutback.
Would have been one heck of an assist. Miller. De Silva chasing Boss. Now Jamison. To Naboot. It's like a game of keepy-uppy at the moment. And that's well worked by Miller to De Silva. Clips it to Skatatis. And now the shot's on for Toure. Romero goes and chases it down at the byline. No juice behind it initially. Toure again, though, with it all to do. Frees the feet. And here's the attempt from De Silva. And they have fashioned a chance there, Macarthur. As we mentioned off the top, Melbourne City have not kept a clean sheet in 7 consecutive. And they've asked a question here.
A little bit of clever play there from Al-Hassan Toure to Daniel De Silva, two impressive young talents for Macarthur. Couldn't find the target, so just a little warning shot for Melbourne City.
Curtis Good with a long ball. Uscock's header. It's there to be one in midfield. Through left O'Neill. Romero. He squeezes the ball to Skatatis. A slip from De Silva. Still had the awareness to touch on a little back heel. Boss. Stepping out of a 1-on-3. Great balance. And now Melbourne City can break with numbers. O'Neill, he trod on the ball at the key moment. The opportunity is not lost. Naboot. Jamison. Switches out to the right side. Tilio drops the shoulder. Marco Tilio, and it misses McLaren. Goal kick the result.
Dangerous one in from Tilio. And again, in the first instance, with the feeling after Geordie Boss had done so well to release Aidan O'Neill that he might have released the ball a little earlier before he trod on it. In fact, nevertheless, Melbourne City were able to get themselves set again, and Tilio fires in that very tempting ball for Jamie McLaren, who just at full stretch couldn't quite make it.
There's Lockie Rose on the sidelines, returning to the bench today for Macarthur. Hasn't scored since November, never scored versus Melbourne City in 5 appearances. Here's Naboot with Boss on the overlap. It all slows down a little bit. O'Neill, runners break ahead of the ball. Cut back by Berisha. Here's Jamison, blocked away by Bacchus. Now the outlet pass, clever from Romero. And Toure backs his own speed. He's got the pitch to break into here, Al-Hassan Toure. And he feeds it through. It's Romero. He rounds the keeper. And Macarthur score. What a moment for Jason Romero. The mid-season surprise signing. The American via Macca has put Macarthur in front. He's a man who's dominated the NPL in New South Wales for St George and Apia, and now he's got an A-League goal to his name.
Well, it's a bad blunder by Curtis Good on the Harvey Norman replay on halfway. It was a fantastic bit of leg speed from Aidan O'Neill to reel in Hassan Toure. That's not easy. This is a real heavyweight sprint. O'Neill does brilliantly, but it's a wonderful piece of play, presence of mind, coolness from Al-Hassan Toure to find the UCLA Bruin, Jason Romero, out of the New South Wales NPL and IPL icon, to show his own measure of coolness and composure, to hammer Melbourne City's early dominance and give Macarthur the lead.
O'Neill allowed to advance. Naboot allowed to turn. He's going to shoot straight into the shins of Uscock. Jamison sweeps the ball out to the right. Valon Berisha. Stood up by Vujitsa. Back to Talbot. Jamison. City trying to increase the ball speed here. Tilio. A pot shot! And you heard the deflection that's taken it out for a corner kick.
Well, you mentioned ball speed. Tilio put plenty of speed on that ball. One touched to control, one to the side, and he ripped it.
Here comes the corner kick. It's attacking the front stick. It falls through the penalty area. Talbot will go and mop up. Boss. To Jamison. Switches back out. Talbot on the opposite flank, the one he's been playing. Let's see what he can do. Inverted here. Talbot cuts onto his left side. Needs a flick on at the near post. Naboot! They weren't behind for long. Oh, and it's going to be disallowed. And the Cowbells tell the story as it remains 1-0. And the flag of Anton Shedinin has scuppered Andrew Naboot.
Well, Talbot does brilliantly. And there's Naboot as that ball's fired in, clearly in an offside position. Nice turn and shot, nevertheless, but no controversy there.
Boss. Curtis Good. Naboot. Aidan O'Neill. Back to Naboot. City try to accelerate the ball. It's all about the killer pass at the end. Skatardis has done well to force Jamison back. Jamison, an aerial ball. Tilio to Talbot. Talbot looking for a teammate. Naboot. And Jamison again, deflecting on. Talbot knocks it back. Jamison on his right foot! And he collects the woodwork. The follow-up from Tilio! And now Talbot! McLaren denied! And Curto falls on the ball. And Scott Jamison, who hasn't scored since the 2021 Grand Final, was the width of the crossbar away.
Well, that's wonderful. Really, Talbot has been quite electric tonight. And that was electric too from Scott Jamison. A third chance, scrambly as it was for Jamie McLaren. But you've got to admire McLaren playing through a broken toe. Slight grimace he showed then after that last exchange. And he's battling on manfully.
We're in absolutely no hurry, as you might expect. Toure and Boyitsa. It is out for a throw, all very pedestrian. With just seconds to go, Melbourne City might be out of time. Instead, it's going to be an important half-time address from Rado Vidičić coming up to see if the ladder leaders can turn around a deficit here. Because as it stands, Macarthur are on track to beat Melbourne City for the first time in the Isuzu Ute A-League Men's. Jason Romero's first goal in the competition means that the home team at Campbelltown are heading into the half-time break in the ascendancy. Can they hold on? It sets up a compelling second half because at the break, it's Macarthur 1, Melbourne City 0. Macarthur to attack the right of your screens in the second half then. Can they go on and post their first Isuzu Ute A-League Men's win against Melbourne City? They've got something to play with, but 45 long minutes to the finish line as the second half gets underway. Andy Harper is here with me, and Andy, we did run through that Melbourne City bench in the first half and talk about the lack of experience, especially attacking players. Pretty much only Galloway with any length of tenure in the competition. So the halftime talk will be certainly honing in on who's out there now. Yeah, for sure, Teo. And whilst in the first half, and before Macarthur had taken the lead, I felt the need to raise the spectre of Macarthur keeping their eye on the wooden spoon, as a lot of the teams in this chasing pack need to keep some sort of focus on. Now they find themselves in this, or just out of the 6 on goal difference. It just goes to show what a remarkable run it is into the playoff positions. It's a long chain of passes for Melbourne City. Barisha's header, now Talbot. He goes to ground spectacularly. Thomas Lavuskog stripped him of the ball. Fair challenge. Great defending from Hayden O'Neill, and Holman wasn't able to escape. But that was Thomas Lavuskog there. Had to make the tackle cleanly, and he did so.
A normal service resumed. Callum Talbot assuming a very aggressive position. But Uskok and Aspro, in particular, the two central defenders for Macarthur, just not having any of it at the end, just getting their body in the way, hacking the ball clear.
Trailing arm here from Toure. First yellow card. Nuno Reyes is the player he wiped out. You can see that unfolding as he backed back with his arms out there, and there appeared to be an apology forthcoming, but it was an accident. Right across the bridge of the nose.
Oh, there's not much in it. But the yellow card, well, not unreasonable, I guess.
Rash in the starting lineup today with Thomas Lamb out suspended. Mid-range free kick coming up for Melbourne City to try to capitalise. First yellow card of the game. Alan Barisha has been entrusted with every dead ball so far. Corners haven't quite worked out. The free kicks, work in progress. This one to Naboot on an acute angle, and somehow it stays out. Tilio got up to the ball, but he couldn't thrust it goal bound. Slides out for a goal kick instead.
Well, Teo, already this game has got that look about it, doesn't it? Even Curto beaten, and just on Tilio too quickly, couldn't adjust. it's the touch from Curto as well. Credit where it's due. That's probably what took Tilio out of the equation. But that's half a yard out from the goal, maybe a yard.
Word's getting out. Melbourne City behind, still trailing. I mentioned that Wanderers and Adelaide fans are Macarthur fans for now. Great incisive pass! And a penalty given. Aspropotometis the chance to score at one end, giving away a penalty at the other. And a yellow card rubs it, and he mowed down McLaren, and the referee had no choice than to send Melbourne City to the spot.
Now, the only thing that's going to save Macarthur on this occasion is whether Jamie McLaren's run was an offside one. But it was a beautiful, straight, penetrating pass from Raish. Great touch across the defender. Clear penalty from there. Was it onside?
Well, it might have been Aspro himself playing McLaren onside. Philip Curto's walked out to the edge of the penalty area here. He clearly wants to waste as much time as possible. Well, the chant for VAR goes up.
Well, the fans chanting can rest assured that it's happening, whether it falls in their favour.
Sean Evans is in the VAR booth.
Offside.
And so it will not be a penalty kick, and the yellow card is removed from Jonathan Aspropotometis' name. A close shave, just like the first half, where Andrew Naboot was flagged offside when he put the ball in the net. You see, it is fine margins here.
Is it the kneecap or the swelling on that broken toe?
Well, yeah, it may have just flushed his boot just that little bit further out beyond the offside line. Double change coming up for Macarthur right on the 60-minute mark. Fresh legs coming on. Jerry Skitanis, who's worked hard, is going to be replaced by Charles Mombler. That one was a sub we could see coming from half-time. Lockie Rose is going to come on here for Al Hassan Toure. So Toure, the only player who did have a yellow card to his name out on the pitch, takes his lead. And Rose will come and try and stretch the field on the counter-attack for Macarthur.
Well, the Macarthur fans have got a charge. They can sense this. They can sense that it could well be their night. And Lockie Rose provides a great option in that counter-attacking mode of play. Great speed. First game back out of injury. See how he settles in. Good night. Productive night for Al Hassan Toure.
O'Neill, Jamison, Talbot, and Tilio needing to play. O'Neill holds off the defender, hits the byline, and was it out or deflected for a corner? Macarthur are trying to claim it had already crossed the line, but the decision's a corner kick. Barisha attacks the near post, it flicks through and sits up in the 6-yard box. Jamison could not steer it goalwards, it just went across the face instead. And a couple of City's chances have fallen to Scott Jamison tonight.
Well, it's almost getting a little bit ridiculous, almost, because still so much time to go. If he's watching tonight, I'm sure Marco Rudan will be at least empathising with Rado Vidicic.
Jamison. Great touch from Boss. And it's in for an own goal. City are back in business. And Jonathan Aspropotometis has put him through his own net to tie the game up at 1-1. And with plenty of time until the finish line, a bit of the air goes out of the Macarthur balloon.
Well, Jordan Boss, the deliverer, and on the end of it was supposed to be Jamie McLaren on the Harvey Norman replay. But the great ironies of football, one of Macarthur's best in repelling Melbourne City, Jonathan Aspropotometis, is exactly the person who gives them the equaliser.
I love football all through the weekend, as many unique time slots as possible, Andy. So in a week where we've got A-League expansion, 2 more teams on the horizon, it's going to create an extra game in the calendar every weekend for us. Why not use Sunday night? What it needs is a club to really fall in love with it. Naboot, saved by Curto. Stinging the fingertips, and Andrew Naboot just cutting through the Macarthur defence and going direct and forcing the stop. And again, this is late game stuff now. The ball flashing around. Naboot, no time to spend on the ground. He gets back to his feet. Barisha. O'Neill. Contact! Penalty! Macca in shock as Melbourne City will get the chance at a stoppage time winner. Is going to go for on-field review.
Here we go.
And it's not just Melbourne City on a knife edge here. It's Adelaide fans, it's Western Sydney Wanderers fans. At this business end of the season, it's a business end call. Andy Harper, what would your decision be?
Well, did he get a touch of the ball there, Bueta? To me, this is getting into the hair splitting, which means you go with the ref's call. He said handball.
No penalty. Didn't need much of a look. Chris Beath. Scott Jamieson goes down to inquire perhaps why it was such a quick review. And clearly not convinced by the explanation. So for the second time in this half, Melbourne City will not be going to the penalty spot. The first time was offside. The second time, a VAR overrule.
Wow, survived the gallows twice. I'm not... Chris Beath was gesticulating the reason for it. I can't read the body language. You'd need a soundtrack to go with that. Just on a minute now to survive.
Miller crashes in for the header.
Or win the match. Forget surviving, says Lockie Rose.
Rose gets the better of Boss. Jethro deflected. Corner kick coming up. Was that their chance? Milos Stojovski, he's got his poker face on. He looks unmoved. It's going to be Jethro to take the corner. Glides it onto the gloves. And it's cleared by Tom Glover. City to counter. Naboot. Tilio, he's got McLaren in the middle. Can they get it right? And the pass is long. McLaren keeps it alive. He crosses it. No one home for City initially. Tilio is there. Still Tilio! It's just wide. Hard inbound stop. And Jamie McLaren perhaps right to go over to Marco Tilio and say, you should have got the pass right to be first.
Well, Marco Tilio could have won it twice himself. That's a really poorly overhit pass. Just a rush of blood, too excitable. McLaren does well to keep it in the game. And still it's not clear for Macarthur. Tilio backs himself to score. And Philip Curto collapses in a relieved heap.
Melbourne City. Can they win it at the death? Can they break Macarthur hearts? A huge pack of players to aim for in the penalty area. Barisha swings it into the near post and it's cleared emphatically. And that will do it. Macarthur hold out for a draw. And Milos Stojovski says well done to his assistants. All over at Campbelltown Stadium. Macarthur 1, Melbourne City 1.